You've just joined the Prepper Broadcasting Network, where we promote self-reliance and independence. The views and opinions expressed are strictly those of the host or their guests. Visit us in the interactive chat room at prepperbroadcasting.com.
Hello, everyone out there in Internet Radio Land, and welcome to Prepping Up with the Joneses, where each week we tackle the toughest questions in the prepper arena. I'm your host, Dave Jones, the NBC guy. That's nuclear, biological, and chemical. And I want to be your personal weapon of mass instruction. I promise my listeners two things each week. First, that they'll learn something new. And second, that they'll be entertained in the process. So here we go with show number 21. Who knew? Who knew I could last for 21 shows, huh? Hey, I have got, last week we were in Dallas, and I do have to apologize. My butt was dragging, and you could tell by the way that sounded last week. The show was still going on when I came back to the room to do the prep. So I really hope that you guys enjoy those shows when I go to the prepper expos and stuff like that, because it's hard getting the interviews. It's hard for Glenn to get them all prepped and everything and get them up there. And we have another interview that I'm going to play a little later on. But first, I want to introduce a good friend of mine, Guy Snodgrass. He's our special guest for tonight, and we're going to talk about creating an emergency plan. And Guy, are you out there?
Yes, how you doing, Dave?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing outstanding, thank you. It's,
wow, outstanding!
Nice to be on the show.
Well, thanks. Well, you should say that after we're done.
I guess.
Anyway, so. Guy is a retired warrant officer. How about this? Guy, tell us a little bit about yourself, okay, and about your company and what you're doing, because you're evaluating emergency plans and doing all that kind of stuff too. And you're a publisher and an author. We got to talk about your books.
As Dave said, I'm a retired warrant officer. Basically, a warrant officer is a technical expert. They specialize in a specific field of study. My study was geospatial, which is how we can use the Earth or the natural terrain features to help in our planning. So basically what I've done is I've taken that 25 years of doing that and now applied it to the prepping scenarios to basically be ready.
That is cool.
Yeah, so and then we teach the classes too of how to do the different skills and how to do some of this types of stuff,
like terrain analysis and things like that.
Yeah, how to evaluate. How to, as we said, we talked about it. How to design a plan, and as we said on the website, it's not a plan unless it's actually on paper. If it's only in your head, it's an idea.
Yeah.
So basically,
hey, you did a lot of time with the Special Forces, right?
Yeah, I did all their terrain studies when starting in Desert Storm all the way through OEF and OIF. Don't ask me which numbers. I lost track of how many of them there were. So the numbers of OES and OIS, I guess they numbered them now.
Yeah, Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation
Iraqi Freedom.
Hey, and you also went back as a civilian, right?
Yeah, correct. I did 6 months in Afghanistan and 10 months in Iraq, basically doing
Dang.
the same thing.
Dang.
Yeah, it was
Whoa.
a lot more fun as a civilian.
Yeah, I imagine.
Get treated a little better.
A little better, yeah. Hey, so tell us, and that's where you actually wrote your first book. Tell us a little bit about your books, because they actually teach prepper lessons in your books.
Yes, so basically I have 2 books out right now. They can be found on my website, greatlivingsources.com.
Okay.
And there's a link to go to my Square store where all this stuff is at, and I have some classes and things on there too. But so the first book is called Return to Life, and basically it's the ultimate prepping scenario. Basically, the world powers have taken each other out, but the focus is on the one man's vision on, he saw the writing on the wall, knew this stuff was coming, so he got ready.
Yes,
he wasn't
and
prepared,
G-Man
he was
put your
ready.
Put your website in there.
Thank you.
See, ain't he great?
Yeah. So basically what happens is he knows that in order to protect his family, which I mean that initially from the military point of view, basically the people that are on his ranch are his family. He doesn't have, blood family at the start of the book. But so he starts to gather this group together to, make it through, or to get through these troubled times that he sees coming. So, he starts buying supplies and resources, guns, ammo, that kind of stuff, as well as, food, chickens. He's got all the ranch stuff and the greenhouse and all that. So he starts to do all that, and then, it basically just progresses how as time goes by, others hear about him in his ranch, or they wind up on his doorstep. So it's how he integrates all these people from different walks of life and builds this community that is not just eking out a surviving existence. They're basically living, as they would if there wasn't nothing going on, which is the whole point of the book, Return to Life. So
with it now, that sounds great, because a lot of people always ask me about when people show up and integrating them into your group and things like that. And then the second book picks up where that one leaves off.
Well,
right?
The second book is actually about sleeper cells in the United States. And they start to attack the soft targets. They attacked the Mall of America. They attacked the Metro in D.C. They attacked Mall in Atlanta. So it's more focused on. So the guy is also ready. I don't believe in prepping. I believe in being ready. So, but anyway.
Right.
It's more about the mental aspect of dealing with things, because the event that caused him to get out of the military is behind these sleeper cell attacks. When he got, so he lost some troops, and if you've ever been in the military, if you ever lose a buddy, that how that's going to impact you. So basically he loses some troops, and he basically instead of dealing with it at the time, he just kind of shoves it into a place that he doesn't go to. It talks about the Horses for Heroes programs, which basically is a program to help veterans through PTSD. I also would like to put a plug in, since I'm talking about my veterans. I'm working on opening a veterans home for homeless vets.
Really?
I have my paperwork in. I'm just waiting for the paperwork to come back. I had a company that helped me to put all this stuff together. So, but if they're interested, if they do GLS Veterans Home, I think on GoFundMe, they can help, or they can contact me at guy@greatlivingsources.com, and if they're, if they'd like to donate. But anyway, so.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And where is the home? The home's going to be located somewhere
close to the bug out location.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the plan. Let's start going into it, and because the people that are tuning in tonight and that will be listening are interested in your, what are the basic steps to putting a plan together?
Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is basically you got to do, like all good plans, you have to gather the facts. So what are those facts? So some of the facts are, what type of crisis or event do you anticipate, or what I like to say is, what is the event or crisis that keeps you awake at night? Right. Because that's the one that you want to start with first. And then what you want to do is you want to evaluate yourself and or your group if you have a group. A lot of people, they have their families or extended families. Some people have some really close friends that, may be part of their group. And when you do this, you must be objective and you must be honest, because if you're not honest, then that's when you're going to start getting in trouble. But so some of the questions that you should ask yourself, what skills do you have? What resources do you have? What skills do those with me have? What resources do they have? And then basically you need to figure out what skills you think you will need in order to make it through this event.
So it's kind of like a gap analysis.
Right, because that's what you're going to look at, is because once you've identified what skills you think you'll need, and then what ones you have, then you need to determine what that delta is between them. What's, if I need to know how to build a fire, but I don't know how to build a fire, and nobody else in my group knows how to build a fire, then somebody in that group needs to figure out how to build a fire. And then what additional resources do you need, or what additional skills would you need? So then some of the other questions would be variations that you might anticipate within there. So like, for example, let's say that your bug out location is going to be your house, wherever you live right now. Okay, right. But let's say that a forest fire or wildfire comes through. Yeah. If that happens, then or a flood, depending on where you located. But either one of those two, you're not going to be able to stay in that place, and there's the potential that you'll lose everything that you've gotten stored up. So what are you going to? What's the contingency if you have to leave where you are? So basically, before you build a plan, you need to understand, what these situations are and what the conditions each of these events may pose as a problem to you. Another one that you want to look at is, what's the anticipated duration of the event. For example, a tornado is generally a pretty quick event, but the after effects may linger for weeks or months, depending on how serious it is. So because tornado goes through, you're going to have power lines down, trees down, so it means roads are going to be closed. So short
duration, but high impact.
Right, and it's the same like with like a forest fire. Fire or a wildfire, it's a fairly fast event in most cases, but the impacts of that thing are going to be. I mean, California is still seeing the impacts from the ones they just had.
Right. So you list all the possible things on one side, and then you see how they'll affect what your plan is. Something like that, or how they would mess your plan up.
In this, what I recommend, if you're going to do it yourself,
right.
We do these for people, but right now you're in the brainstorming phase. So basically, you're just putting down everything that's pertinent to this particular event. If you try to make it too big too soon,
right,
you're going to hurt yourself, because then you're going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Focus on that one thing that keeps you awake at night. But then you also want to think about, depending on what that event might be, is there a contingency in which I would have to leave? If that's the case, then that's something that you want to focus on. You want to address it like quickly, but you don't want to focus on it really at that time,
Yeah.
Because the other thing is where do you envision you will be? For us here, well, except for you crazy knucklehead, you live 2 miles from the road. But
yeah.
But like here in D.C., and even when I was stationed in Atlanta, even though it was only, 35 miles or 32 miles when I was in Atlanta and 45 miles here to work, it still was 1 to 2 hours. And in Atlanta, it has taken me 4 hours to get into work.
Okay.
In the event that something happens and I'm at work, Murphy's Law says it's always going to happen when you're least prepared.
Yeah. You got to get home.
I got to get home. And, at 45 miles, it's going to take me 13 to 18 hours to walk it, assuming that I cannot drive, because, you can barely drive when it's normal. So when craziness happens, you just ain't going nowhere.
Hey, well,
so that
we're
means
gonna
that I have
take
to have enough. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay. We're going to take a break here in just a couple minutes. And so I want you to think about the beginning parts of the plan. So if people are trying to make notes, okay, because you said brainstorming. So that's putting everything down on a piece of paper.
Right.
That could happen. Okay. So think about all those beginning parts of the plan so that people can get their stuff organized to create this plan. And if they can't, how can they reach out to you for help?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Joe Alton, MD, also known as Dr. Bones of the award-winning survival medicine website doomandbloom.net, and co-author of the bestseller The Survival Medicine Handbook. As a medical doctor, I know how important it is to have knowledge, but you'll need supplies if you're going to save lives in a disaster. We've got an entire line of medical kits for every homestead, retreat, workplace, vehicle, church, school, just about any purpose you might imagine, and they're all put together by a real MD and nurse practitioner. Other kits are fine when the ambulance is on the way, but when you're the end of the line with regards to your family's well-being, you'll be a more effective medical asset with kits and supplies uniquely designed for tough times and packed in the USA. Prepare your family for any disaster with medical kits and supplies at store.doomandbloom.net. That's store.doomandbloom.net. Make medical kits by Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy a part of your medical storage. You'll be glad you did.
It's March Madness here at Green Innovative, where you can get a great deal on our G-Mag saltwater-powered battery chargers. We have a 20% off slam dunk great deal on our charger packages and power pucks. Just enter the code MADNESS20 at greeninnovative.com from now until the end of the playoffs on March 31st. Get your game-winning deal at greeninnovative.com, and you'll be glad you did. That's Green Innovative, greeninnovative.com.
Did you hear that? Guy, did you hear that last commercial?
Yes, I did.
That's our buddy Alan Riggs. And 20% off, that's a better deal than I got the first time I bought his kit.
Yeah, I know. What do you expect? It's that Navy guy, man. You can't touch those dudes.
So the coupon code is Madness20 for everybody listening after the fact. It's being put up in the chat room. He said he's sorry. And he's a sub guy at that. That's a special kind of Navy guy. Madness 20. Hey, and Doc Bones was at the show I was at last week, and I got their. Well, I got this several months ago, but their emergency dental kit. I mean, you get into a situation where you got to extract a tooth, and man, you need that because you just can't go busting that thing out with a pair of pliers, you know?
Sure you can.
Well, you can, but then it's usually, holy crap, I'll never do that again, you know?
Yeah. But that's when the whiskey comes into play.
Hell yes. Hey, now, so if you're making a plan and electricity is part of your plan, I always say this because of EMP, you might have a bad plan.
Well, yeah. So again, it depends on. Okay, so and that kind of goes back to the skills because the basic thing you want to go back to the basics,
right? When
you're doing these plans. So, for example, if let's say I'm doing a plan for, let's make something not too crazy, snowstorm, okay?
Yeah.
Snow, ice. Okay, so snow and ice, I have a plan. I'm going to shelter in place. I'm going to, I know snow's coming, so I'm going to fill up one of my bathtubs with water so I have some extra potable water besides the drinking water that I keep on hand and stuff. But then, then you want to have things that you can generate yourself. So, for example,
right.
Alan's kits are definitely a bonus because those things you can recharge forever almost. And then all it takes is salt and water. Or
exactly. You don't need solar. You don't need wind, and you can charge the batteries of the the radios and walkie-talkies and the things that are vital to your overall plan.
I mean it works for all the batteries from AAA all the way up to D. So except I don't know about 9 volt. I don't remember 9 volt being in there, but I know that D, C, A, and AAA.
Well, he has adapters in there too.
Right, and that's what I was just going to say. He's got adapters. So then the other thing that you'd have to think of, okay, so first off, when we talk about basics, there are 3 basics to every plan. I don't care what the event is, there's 3 basics that you've got to cover. Food, water, and shelter. Okay?
Right.
So, you can get food that, doesn't require a lot of cooking or even doesn't need any cooking. But then, again, you got to think resupply. So, which leads to the duration part. So basically, if I've got a camping stove and I've got extra bottles of propane, but if this duration extends beyond what propane I have, what's my backup? Eve, who I see is advertising on Trading Post in the Woods, she has a good quote. One is none. So you always want to have some kind of a contingency backup. So, you would need to figure out how to go outside, and it's going to be cold because we're talking about an ice storm, and build a fire, be able to cook on an open fire. So if you don't have those skills, and that's why I say when you look at when you're doing the evaluation, the brainstorming, and in the chat room, Flying Dutchman, I think it was, made a good comment that when you're doing brainstorming, everything gets written down. So basically, whatever skills that you are going to need, whatever skills that you then have, and whatever your group has, all of those get written down. So because the three things, like I said, that you have to check the
Keep
boxes
going back
on
to your basics.
is food, water, and shelter.
I always say establish a position and improve upon it daily. So if you keep going back to the basics and keep improving, maybe you only got a week's worth of food now, then, try for 2 weeks.
Right.
And, baby steps.
Yeah. So ready.gov and all the FEMA and Red Cross guys say 3 to 5 days worth of food. Well, that
ain't enough.
That's okay.
I mean,
so
if you just go back to the floods that happened from the hurricanes that occurred this past season, you can see that that's not enough. If you look in Puerto Rico right now, that is not enough. I mean, those people are still hurting.
Yeah, my one of my brother-in-laws just got back from Puerto Rico. He's works for the power company, and they've been down there trying to help get the power back up. But so you have in this case with the ice storm incident, we have our shelter because that's our house. Okay, as long as we don't burn it down.
Right.
Safety first. Then food. Now, almost everybody probably has 1 to 2 weeks worth of food in their cupboard right now. It ain't going to be fancy. It ain't going to be pretty, but you can probably survive because unless you live in Germany, you don't stop at the store every day to buy food for that day. If
they might be eating that can of cranberry sauce that they had left over from.
Yeah, or
or
spam or
like
ramen noodles or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and that is part of your evaluation. So what you normally purchase for groceries a week, month, however you buy them. I grew up in Indiana. In Indiana, we got snow out the yin yang. And, it was not uncommon to not be able to get to town for a month or so. So
and did you get that lake effect snow?
No, I was in the central part of Indiana, fortunately.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't. I wasn't up by Gary and all that where they get that.
Oh,
but
and they get feet.
Yeah, well, we got in 78, 79, we had snow drifts over the top of our barn.
Dang.
The snow itself was over the fence posts.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, one of the other things to think about also is, like crank radios. Those are good.
Sure.
Those are good to have. But focus on what you have right now, what you normally have on hand, and start with that. So that becomes part of your plan. So whatever's in your cupboard or in your basement or in your refrigerator, in your freezer, all of those are the things that you're going to include when you do the initial part of this plan, because that's where you're starting at. So if you have, let's say, a week's worth of food like you were talking, Dave, then, and you want to have a month. So what you need then is to figure out, okay, I have 1 week now, so I need 3 more weeks worth of this stuff. And then where are you going to put it? And then you rotate it out.
Right.
But
now, are you a proponent of stashes? Do you have stashes? Do you think stashes are a good idea, a bad idea, or?
I think they and
then
are
we're going to
good
talk
idea.
about bug out location and selection here. So just that's next. So tell me about stashes.
Stashes are a good idea. They do require. Well, let me rephrase that. Stashes are good if you own the land or you have a place that you can stash stuff at. You don't want to stash stuff in an area that's open to the public, i.e.
park.
forest, a park, state park, national forestry, unless you butt up against it and nobody can hardly get to it. But if like I have, you're talking about bug out locations. So my bug out location is in Kentucky. It's in South Central Kentucky.
How many acres you got?
I have 85 acres.
Dang.
I also have 2 caves.
What's it like? Is it wooded? Is it open?
It's mostly wooded. It's kind of stair-stepped. There are a few fields, so eventually I'll have probably a few more fields, and I've got when I go to put my house in, one of my brothers has his house on there right now, so he kind of holds my fort down for me.
Cool.
But I also have 2 caves, one on each end of the property.
Really? Natural caves?
Yeah. And
nice.
I have two springs, and I've already put in a well.
Okay.
So now I have stuff stashed at my brother's house. I have 2 barns that I've already put up on the property. And in those I do have stuff stashed in the big metal trash cans, like what you use for the
EMP.
Yeah,
my Faraday cage.
Faraday cage, thank you. I couldn't I could see it in my head, I just couldn't think of it. But anyway, so I have stuff in there. Like beans, rice, things that will keep for a long time. But that also provide that protein that I need. My intent is that I would then, hunt as much as I can until, something changes or whatever. But it, hopefully,
right.
The whole thing about all of this is, you want to be ready for anything, not just the physical preparation. The physical preparation is probably the easiest part of prepping.
Yeah.
That's basically just time, money, and a location to put it. So that stuff, I can put up and I can keep. So should something, bigger happen, and I did need to leave this location, then I would have stuff there that I could support not only myself, but, several others, because I do have some friends that I have invited to my location.
And you have kind of a group, right? Yes,
I'm working on a group.
Okay.
Hey, not stupid, buddy.
Well, I know, but I got to get this out of you. I got to pull it out of you for our listeners to know what you're doing, so that they can try and take these pearls and apply them to themselves. Now, if you're looking for a bug out location, what would you look for?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay, so it depends.
Well, I mean, a water source would be good, right?
Right.
I mean, you got to have.
It depends a lot on what it is that what the event is that you anticipate that is going to cause you to have to leave your location.
Yeah, we're gonna also talk about trigger points.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing that your plan needs to have is what's the trigger. Right. But so for example, that book that I was telling you about, the Return to Life book, that is basically, if you've got disaster preparation, on the low side would be like, snowstorms, something that's short term that's going to eventually come back. Return to Life that's a game changer. That's a life altering event. And
EMP, coronal mass ejection.
Right. The key in there, the key is whether or not the civilized veneer is going to return. I talk about this quite a bit. So basically during a snowstorm or something that's not too critical, right now, for the most part, there is what I call a civilized veneer. So basically that means that there are certain rules and things, general guidelines that most people follow. Okay, you know,
sure.
We don't go out and killing people.
There's not enough. Exactly. There's not enough cops in the world to police everybody. So most people obey the law.
Right.
So
for the most part, and that's because we have a civilized veneer.
Yes.
In the time of a disaster, during the disaster itself, civilized veneer is sometimes eradicated, and you've seen it thousands and thousands of times.
Yes.
There's been floods. People after the floods start looting TVs and electronics and high-end stuff, which I could never figure out why you would do that. But anyway, you know, in Baltimore we had that thing with, and in Ferguson we had the deals with the cops where the civilized veneer was off, and as far as I know, that one restaurant, they still can't get back in there because they burned them out.
Yeah.
That feels McCoy's. That's when I call the civilized veneer is gone. Now, typically in like a flood, when that veneer drops, eventually it will return.
Right.
Once the floodwaters recede, once the FEMA and all the support get in there, eventually that veneer will return. In return,
when we had that power failure, that 5 days of without power, this was about a month ago.
Right.
I carried around the house. You know, it is a perfect time for someone to start doing bad things because they know the power's down. The cell phone towers were starting to run out of electricity, and you weren't getting cell phone reception because their backup power was not being recharged, and they were failing. So I started carrying, and it was you just got to be aware of the situation.
Exactly, and I mean, I keep a pistol in my office and a shotgun in my bedroom. So
I think most of the people that are listening to us, they understand that, and the normalcy. But we were 5 days without power, and there was several hundred people, and you know where I live.
Yep.
A lot of the homes are very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of the mountain. I live on the cheap side of the mountain. Hey, and we're going to take a quick break. I'm losing track of the time because this conversation is fantastic. When we come back, I'm going to play that interview from the show, and we're going to talk more about the bug-out location. How far away should your bug-out location be, and what you should already have pre-positioning, and the trigger points that would make you bug out. I think everybody wants to know those trigger points. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Yep.
Looking for an all-natural way to stay healthy? Well, look no further. LumaTea.com is where you will find over 55 different healthy herbal teas. We use only the finest herbs that are cultivated with no pesticides, fungicides, or herbicides, and are hand-selected. At LumaTea.com, we offer a variety of tri-packs for preppers, survivalists, and adventurers that are great for backpacks and bug-out bags, or just to keep around the house. For example, one of our tri-packs includes an antibiotic herbal tea, an herbal tea for pain, and an immune booster herbal tea. Luma Tea is a must for every prepper and household. See all our teas and what Luma Tea can do for you. Visit us at LumaTea.com.
Oh no, a complete collapse. Martial law. Oh my gosh, I've got to get out of here. I've got to get to my cabin. This is it. Okay, don't panic. Assess the situation and get the right gear. It's time to get out of Dodge. A game of post-economic survival. Escape the city using your gear and your wits. By Kill Switch Bunker Games, LLC. Available on Amazon, Kill Switch Bunker Games. Like us on Facebook.
Kill Switch Bunker Games. The Trading Post in the Woods is a team of disaster response and survival experts responding to over 20 major disasters, ready and standing by for the next disaster when it happens. TradingPostInTheWoods.com created the Survivalist's Natural Remedies Kit and the American Heritage Kit for those preparing on their own to survive any disaster. We can help you learn the remedies your great-grandmother used effectively and train you in what to do when disaster strikes. We've encountered needless death, helped masses of the unprepared, people frozen in fear, people lost, separated, and afraid. Be informed. Share our simple survival products and learn the lessons we've learned in the aftermath of disasters. Be prepared for the unthinkable. Don't be the victim. Visit TradingPostInTheWoods.com. That's TradingPostInTheWoods.com.
Okay, guys, we're back. Hey, and I got to tell you guys this. I talked to Eve this past week, and the FDA is trying to shut down homeopathy. So, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on, and she explained it to me in great detail. I can't tell you about it, but I just know this, that if you don't have your homeopathy supplies now, it's going to be very, very hard to get them later. So I would bump that up on your priority of stuff that you need to get. Hey, and before we play this interview, I want to talk a little bit about the news, because we didn't do news, and everybody relax. I'm going to have Guy back next week. I knew we would not get through my list of questions. We're not even halfway. We're not halfway. So I just knew this. Okay, so we're going to pick up right where we leave off today, next week. So if you're liking what you're listening to, tune in next week. Email other people, hey, you got to tune in, you got to listen to this, because this is going well. First thing on my list, Happy Easter, everybody. This is the Easter show. Things are going on a little crazy in the Middle East. The Israelis are having all kinds of craziness going on for Passover and Easter. And this past week, the Russians tested their hypersonic missile. That needs to be taken note of. There's a space station that the Chinese put up, and it's headed back to Earth. Probably the next 2 days. Monday at the latest, it's going to crash somewhere. So that's kind of crazy. Stuff
and
falling
actually
out of
the swath of that is supposed to be over the United States.
Great.
I seen a map, and it shows basically Virginia all the way west. Yeah, and just FYI.
Oh yeah. And Michigan activated their emergency operations center just because of this. So they're taking it very serious. Russia's expelling diplomats. We're doing the same thing. It's like crap that went back to the Cold War, but it was basically because of that nerve agent attack. That's what I'm posting and blogging about right now. It's chemical attacks. So if you want to know more about chemical attacks, WMDprotection.com. Talk about chemical attacks. Hey, Prepper Camp. I'm going to Prepper Camp this year. I'm going to be one of the speakers. It's 3 days of fun outside. It's the largest outdoor prepper thing in the country. And if you don't have your tickets, they sell out every year. You got to get on there and get your tickets right away. If you have purchased RSDL, could you please go on there for me and fill out a review for RSDL? And the few people that that won it, okay, I gave a couple packets away on our show. Could you go on there and please fill out an Amazon review? They're looking for reviews, and I think they got like 6. Okay, which is unbelievable. 6 reviews. You don't have to leave your name, and it doesn't have to be very long. Just one sentence, and you could put a fake name in there. Hey, but before I go any further, I want to play this interview. Like I said, last week was nuts, and I was editing this at the time the show started. And these people, I'm pretty sure they're tuning in, and I want to play this interview for you. It's only about 5 minutes long, so here it goes. Okay. Okay, we are here at the Prepper Show with
Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi.
So, are you a prepper?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
What do you prep? Do you have water? You have?
I have a lot of water. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I am in the process of creating a rainwater collection system for more water. So
nice.
yes, a lot of water.
Yeah, because we're in Texas.
Yes.
You got to collect that rainwater.
We have a lot of drought.
Yeah.
Happen. Yes.
So, what brought you to the show today? Did you come from far away?
I came from around Austin.
Okay, that's
it's a little town, Temple.
Yeah,
so,
well, in Texas standards, that's pretty close.
Yes,
but
it is pretty close.
For most people, that's a drive.
Yeah, about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah. So what brings you to the show?
Well, honestly, I wanted to get a lot of knowledge. I liked the fact that everybody, put on their, little talks and talking about different things, kind of filling me in a lot of knowledge that I didn't have already, which I've learned quite a bit, especially from you.
Well, thank you.
Especially from you.
This is not a paid announcement.
No, but and it's been a wonderful. Everybody's selling different things, filling me in on different, water collection or treating water, how to prepare for certain things. So it was kind of more of a knowledge thing than really buying anything. So.
Okay, great. I hope you get all the knowledge you can stand today.
Thank you.
Thank you. What about you? Come on.
Hi, my name is Callie.
Hi, Callie. What brings you to the prepper show? Wait, are you a prepper?
I would say not really.
Really?
That's more her thing, but I'm kind of interested in learning more about, survival techniques and all that kind of stuff. So that's what kind of brought me here today.
Well, yeah. You have a first aid kit?
Yeah.
Okay,
so I guess
well,
I am.
You're prepping for that.
Yes.
And you have bottled water, some at your house?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can come out of the closet. You're in a safe environment here.
All right.
We're all preppers here.
Yeah.
So what brings you to the show, or were you just the driver?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we just wanted to learn a little bit more about, prepping, survival.
Yeah.
Hear everything from the shows, what the speakers had to say, and just check out all the booths and what people had to offer. It's been really cool today to see everything. So, and like she said, you had a lot of knowledge, and we learned a lot from you. So that was pretty awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm blushing right now. You can't see it on the radio. So no one had their tinfoil hats on. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, preppers are all walks of life. I mean, they're doctors, lawyers, police. It's everybody. Everybody. It's kind of a frame of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the club now that you're a prepper.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Hey, thank you for We're here at the Prepper Show with
Cliff Coomer.
Hi, Cliff. How are you?
Great.
So, are you a prepper?
I'm more of a back to earth guy and have a long-term plan in place.
Yes. Well, I would say
I'm not preparing for a short-term emergency.
Yeah. I see you got a Thrive shirt on. You do Thrive?
I sell Thrive.
Yeah. That's a great product. Great product. I got a lot of it in my supply.
Awesome.
Yeah, you got to have a little of everything, My wife cans. And we have a little everything.
But we went that route because of the cost savings to the individual who's trying to set up their own supply. You don't have to be active to enjoy those savings.
Yeah. Yep, I know the whole deal. A good friend of mine is high up in the organization, and we do shows for her all the time.
Cool.
Yeah. So what brings you to the show today?
Well,
anything in particular?
We come to see what different vendors and different products are coming out. Like as we walked up front, I've seen them on Facebook, but I'll call it the flower petal solar panel system.
Yes.
And the Atlas Shelter guys are here. Of the last 5 shows, we've probably been to 4 of them. And we've been 3 years in a row. But as we come here, we're looking for the innovation technologies and trying to to find the things that we're going to need, because in a few years here we're retiring, moving off grid, and our house building is going to be situated for something like that. And so as we look at the energy transfer system, and I'm doing all the mathematics behind what it takes to keep in Texas, to keep your home cool.
Right.
In the summertime.
Wow.
And
so you're talking pretty massive.
Yeah. But I grew up deep in the southwest of Arizona, where people grew up like this and lived like this, and didn't know what air conditioning was until I came into the Army, and I was like, hey, what is this magic, But as we look at this stuff, and we're walking around, there's a lot of different vendors here. There's been more, there's been less. There's better places for this venue. To do something like this, we need to have more of these.
Yeah, I think so.
In the Texas region. And, we got a collection of things. I'm not looking for a knife or a tomahawk. Or window vanes. I'm not looking for some of the stuff that people come to these shows for. But what I am looking for is stuff that's going to make my everyday life easier and is ready for me when I need it to be.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for... Okay, that was it. Hey, now I'm going to ask the chat room. Do you guys like this? Do you like what I'm doing when I go to the shows and put the stuff on and get you the the unique items and things like that? And I just need a yep from everybody or a no. We're going to take it like oh, wow, okay. I'm getting lots of yeses, yes, okay. Because a lot of people don't get to go to shows if you're out there in the boonies and, there's not a show around you. I try and, okay, well, it seems like they're good shows. Next month I'm going to be at PrepperCon, so that's going to be wild. They're saying 12,000 people will be there. And I'm going to be broadcasting live from the show floor. So it's going to be more than just the interviews like we did. It's going to be actual live from the show floor. And there was one product last week, and I'm going to put this in the chat room. Oh, we like the discounts. I work hard to get them. And it's all products that I'm interested in, so I get the discount too. The darkhorseoe.com. That's the guy that had the filter. That it's a ceramic filter with two layers of silver in it. And this is the only filter that I know of that has silver. It was sent off for it's patent pending, and it's reusable. You pull it out, you rinse it off. I mean, this thing, and you set it up in a 5-gallon bucket, two 5-gallon buckets. You turn one upside down, and you put your bad water in top, and you know how it works. And that darkhorseoe.com, and he was doing free shipping, and he said just email him, he'll give you the free shipping, and that filter is pretty amazing. That's one of the things that I brought home in my bag. And my wife said, "What's that?" Okay. Yeah, Guy, here we are. Would you have any news articles that came to your mind? Because, hey, and do you still have a top secret clearance?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay. So some of the stuff that Guy's telling you, I mean, he knows firsthand because he's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and got yelled at for most of it.
Yeah, a few times.
The URL does not work. Oh, shoot. Did I copy? I might have copied it wrong. Let me see. I got the card here. darkhorseoe.com. Let me see. Anyway, there you go. Someone got it in there. Let me click that one, see how that goes. Oh, I lost my chat room. There it is. Okay, the chat room is awesome. These guys, oh man, they got my back. Thank you. That one worked just fine. There's also a video on there on how you set the filter up in the 5-gallon buckets and stuff. So, back to Guy. And we're gonna bring you back next week, Guy. Okay? Well, that's great because I still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more questions. And HTTP. Oh, that is needed. The HTTP is needed. Okay. Sorry about that. I screwed it up. Thank you. So you need HTTP //darkhorseoe.com. Okay. Back to you, Guy. Do you have any?
Not really. The
news?
only thing that I would say, real quick before we have to leave, is when you start to, what I would do if you don't have a plan that's written, and the reason why I say that it needs to be written is because in those initial moments when the event actually occurs, no matter how ready you are, there's still going to be a certain amount of fear and adrenaline flowing.
Absolutely.
And by having the plan, rehearsing the plan, you build the muscle memory so that in those few moments of chaos, you don't have to think, you just act. And then once that goes through, then you have the plan. But the other thing about having a plan, especially if you have people who are part of your group that may or may not be in your household, they know what they need to do.
What the plan is. Exactly.
Right. How to link up, what they need to bring, all that kind of study.
Hey, Guy?
Yeah.
We got the 2-minute warning in the chat room.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, we got the 1-minute warning now. I want to ask you, what we're going to cover this next week. Is there anything you want to say right now to set up next week?
What I would focus on is start doing an evaluate where you are right now, and then we can talk
Bring
about
that to the show next week.
Basic skills, right?
Okay, that sounds like a great to-do list. Now you all have homework. Okay, put down everything that you have right now, and bring it next week. And we're going to bring Guy back, and we're going to help you develop your emergency plan. So this will be Emergency Plan Part 2.
What they have, what the resources, and what's the event.
Okay. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm sorry we're out of time, but we're going to bring Guy right back. And next week, we're going to finish up emergency planning.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot, Guy.
Thank you.
For sure.
Today's broadcast has come to you through the courtesy of the Prepper Broadcasting Network. See our hosts, show schedules, archived programs, and more at prepperbroadcasting.com. Thanks for listening.
You work all day, then go home and make dinner. That's not fair, because making your dinner, that's our job. We don't work all day, then go home and do your job, so stop doing ours. Head into Buffalo Wild Wings for America's favorite wings, shareables, burgers, and more. Choose from 21 signature sauces and seasonings to take your dinner from mild to wild. But don't worry, we're dinner pros. If things get too wild, we've got dozens of beers on tap and a full bar to bail out your palate. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.